Hello everyone, this is Plunkera, and welcome to my universe. Excuse me, got a little tickle in my throat there. Alright, and today we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. Because she just has a mountain of hair that I continue having to get through. But alright, let's keep digging through that mountain. I was just looking through and looking at things that I might want to fix up, and I think I want to make some adjustments to the upward turn before I go and continue on the upper left corner there. There was a way that this shadow here, the line kind of going right through there, was connecting to everything that I didn't really like. So I want to go and make that look nice before I move on to everything else. Because how all that connects will affect how I handle the corner. And I just kind of felt like I noticed it especially strongly in the corner, that it looked more like the head was expanding as opposed to tilting. Because I don't actually have her chin moving up very much, which is intentional. I didn't want a super strong upward motion for the upward turn here. So it makes sense that I have to adjust it just a little bit here. I just overdid it a little bit and didn't notice it the first time through. That's okay. That's why I can go back and fix it now. Yeah, that's actually a little bit better. So I'm just going to take a moment and put all of this together. Let's see how it all works out. So, yesterday I put out a short video on a small conversation that I had on stream, where I was talking about how people are more similar than different. And I wasn't expecting that video to get as much traction as it did. It's like, I didn't check the exact number, I think it only hit like 250 views or something, but that's still pretty big for me. Even my biggest videos only have like 400, so. But out of all the videos I made, that one had the most comments. And I was very sad to see that I think YouTube removed one of them. And it was too bad, because I wanted to comment on it. I wanted to reply. But when I went back later to do it, it wasn't there anymore. So, I guess it's possible that it was the original writer, but there's some other context that makes me think it was YouTube. I'm a little bit sad. The comment was, "It's too bad psychology isn't a real science anyway," or something along those lines. And oh man. I can understand the complaints with how a lot of human psychology is being studied and all that, but there's very, very real science behind it. You can see it in, oh man, so much of what we do now. But I think the strongest pieces that you see it in is marketing. Marketing is terrifying. Legitimately terrifying when you really start looking into it. And that kind of marketing is, well, it's why gacha games exist. It's why predatory microtransactions exist. We know how to get people to spend their money. Like, it's not even funny. We know it down to how we should lay out our supermarkets. So much research has gone into what will make people spend money the most effectively. And it all comes down to human psychology, in the sense that, in a lot of ways, humans are very predictable. And we can kind of understand how to make their brain do certain things. And that's another reason I say that humans are more similar than different. Even if you don't really want to acknowledge it, I'm afraid your case of the human condition is terminal. I think what determines a real science from a pseudoscience is whether or not you can make predictions with it. And with what we understand of human psychology, we very much can. So much that it's terrifying. Just watch one video on how gacha games are predatory, or how predatory microtransactions work, and you will fear for your brain. That's why I tell you not to listen to your brain sometimes. And I realize acknowledging that is a little bit terrifying too, which is why I suppose the video is a little bit controversial and got some people talking. But that comment I just found so hilarious, because I can understand not wanting to acknowledge that you are like all the other plebs out there, but it's true. I'm afraid you are human too. I'm so sorry, but it's the truth. And I do think it's one of those things that's important to keep in mind as you go forward. Never assume that things that work for other people won't work for you, or things that work on other people won't work on you, and etc., etc. As I said before, there are differences between people. We also have discovered that in marketing. I told you, marketing is very scary. But when it comes to differences in people, the marketing story with that has to do with pasta sauce, where somebody was hired to go find the perfect pasta sauce. And what he found was that there is no perfect pasta sauce, that people have slightly different tastes, and that there were actually about 3 or 4 different ones. And this is why we have extra chunky pasta sauce too. That some people just liked it thin and smooth, and some people liked it with lots of chunky pieces, and some people liked it with meat. That is my understanding of the story. And so, again, even though humans are predictable in a lot of ways, we are still individuals, and that is worthy of acknowledgement as well. We will never be quite like another person here, and there will probably never be another person again that is exactly like you. And I can even relate it back to Path to Nowhere. That's why I found that discussion with Moore after Chief asked if she believed that the gods were controlling their life, and her response to it, where she thought of life more like a programmer, where there are certain inputs and they give certain outputs. And I too think that is a very good way to look at life, and the way your brain works. It gets information and it spits out responses to you, whether that's in the form of thoughts, emotions, or whatever else. It'll spit out some kind of output to you, and that will drive action. So to an extent, you can try to control the inputs that you give your brain. And you can also recognize the kind of outputs that it's giving you, and whether or not you want to act on them. These kinds of things are under your control. And to think, all of that came from just comparing Pride and Prejudice to anime waifus. The world is wild. Alright, I think I fixed that spot up there that was bothering me, and now I should be able to go back and work on the front bang, I say, as I find another little thing I want to fix in the upward head turn. Hence, the pause. Slight pause as I notice that there's perhaps something else I want to tweak very, very slightly here. Just a tiny little push here. Teeny, teeny, tiny. There we go. Didn't like how it was lining up with the corner there, so I figured I'd push it over just a little. Yeah, still looks fine here. Just need to adjust the shadowy bit, and then all will be well. once I remember what layer all this is on. There's so many hair layers I get lost sometimes, it's fine. But yes, I enjoy discussions like that, so I'm glad that I was able to get some people to think about some of these things. It's fun to think about, even if acknowledging your humanity can be painful sometimes. And how terrifying marketing is. Never forget how terrifying marketing is. Never forget that there are so many people out there that just want you to spend your money. And that is their entire goal. Never forget. I've said before that when it comes to the discussion of ideas, I always hate it when people bring up the idea and the thought ends at everything you do is pointless. And that discussing ideas like this is only valuable if it makes you think about how you're living your life. And I do think that psychology and marketing so much, does give you clues on how you should go about living your life. Just goes to show with marketing that there are people out there that they just want you to spend your money. That's all they want. They just want your money. And they will tell you things. They will appeal to whatever terrible pit is laying in your brain and making you think things. And they will do whatever they can to exploit that. That's why you should just not listen to them. Be very, very aware that this is happening. And what it does to your brain. And why your brain enjoys these things. Kind of reminds me that there was a discussion on screen time yesterday too. And I always hate discussions about screen time. Like, look, I spent a lot of time at the computer. I know. I'm biased. But the reason that I'm very biased is because I think that a lot of the things I do on the computer is very interesting, and I do not show, like, any of the symptoms of dopamine addiction or that kind of thing. Like, I am not perpetually bored. I do a lot of things, and I think they're all very interesting. Life is great. And, like, yeah, if it's ruining your life, then maybe restrict your screen time a bit. But that's because it's ruining your life and it's stopping you from doing the things that you want to do and other stuff like that. It's not that you're spending a bunch of time at the computer. These things are not necessarily related. Especially when I'm doing things like drawing digitally instead of on a canvas. It's like, who cares? It's like, yes, I use a screen for this, but can you really call it screen time based on, like, the definition that most people use? It's like, it's not like I'm sitting there browsing Reddit for 8 hours a day. I don't know, people get weird about this stuff. And I just find it annoying. And when people talk about screen time, there's never any discussion on what I should be doing instead. It's just, oh, you spend a lot of time at the computer, don't you get bored? No. No, I don't. I will continue spending a lot of time at the computer because I find it very fun and very interesting. And I greatly enjoy the time that I spend doing these things. That I spend making models like this or drawing pretty pictures. Ah, yes. Hello there, Oyen. You just meet me in the middle of a rant about screen time. Because I hate that term. How are you doing today? But yeah, I was just saying it's like I do all my art digitally, so of course I probably spend a little bit more time at the computer than most people. Because that's where I get a lot of my fulfillment in life. Just because it's attached to a screen doesn't make it bad. And so I just kind of hate the dichotomy that people that spend a bunch of time at the computer, when there's so many different things you can be doing on a computer and on the internet, that it's just like the same all the way across, and it gets very frustrating. I was just making some adjustments to the bangs here. Yep. It's like I used to do quality assurance and software development, both. And so it's like, of course, while I was doing my job, I would also be on the computer a lot. Probably more than I am now, actually. So... well, at the very least, if you don't feel like you're crazy for spending a bunch of time with the computer, I agree. I don't think you are either. Computers are great. It just depends on what you do on them. If you're spending 8 hours scrolling Twitter, maybe there's a problem. But there's a lot of other things you can do on a computer besides scroll Twitter. So it's fine. So this morning I just noticed, or actually I guess I should say yesterday morning, when I was working on this yesterday, I noticed that the bangs were not lining up quite the way I wanted them to. And with that, I noticed that there was a couple of other things I wanted to adjust here and there, and so I'm just doing those adjustments now. And I do think it's helping. A lot of rigging is just a lot of teeny tiny details. That all just kind of add up and make things look a little bit better. So right now I'm trying to just fix those little things that I noticed yesterday. And also this morning. But so far so good. I think it's coming together pretty well. So I'll probably go back and fix up the little bits on the bangs themselves that I wanted to fix up. But fortunately, that was just some very minor edits on the corner themselves, not something that I had to do more extensive edits on multiple turns. So hopefully it'll be pretty quick, and then I can finally turn the rest of her hair back on, and we will no longer have the funny bald spot on the left side of her head. I do think that these little areas right near the eyes here are especially important. So I'm trying to put a lot of effort into getting them to look very, very nice. It's like I think the eyes are where people are going to be looking the most. So I tried to put the most care into a lot of the areas around them. The sides of the hair, while I still want them to look good, it's not quite as important that they do. So I have a little bit more flexibility in how I make them look in the end. But this area, right around here, yeah, I don't want to mess around with that area. I want to get it just right. Alright, so far so good, I think. And knowing me, I'll probably be making just small corrections in various places as I continue to go through this entire process. It's just how it goes. Every day as everything looks a little bit better, I just notice more and more little things that are just a little bit off. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was glad I was able to do all 31 days. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, but I managed to make it through. It was quite a challenge, a very fun one. I'm very happy with what I was able to make throughout the entire month. Were you drawing anything for Inktober too, or you just like seeing what people make with it? Yeah, there we go. Looking good. Alright. So now I can fix up this little highlight here. Hopefully get that the way I want it to be. There are just a couple of spots on that highlight that were looking a little bit off to me when comparing it to the top view here. So I wanted to make a few adjustments. Well, Inktober provides, the Inktober Instagram account, that is, provides an official prompt list. So I was just going through their prompt list. And at that point, I just kind of drew the first thing that came to mind. I thought about it a little bit before October started, and then I would just think about it while I was eating breakfast. And I would just go with the first idea that came to mind. Worked out. It's like I was drawing fairly simple little scenes there. So it was just a lot of stuff that I wanted to draw anyway, a lot of stuff that I like drawing, and some stuff that I just wanted to try out. That'd probably be the best way to define it. Well, that's alright. There need to be people to enjoy the art too, so I'm glad that you enjoyed all of it. Makes it more fun to draw when people are actually looking at it. But I'd say for imagination, I don't know, maybe a little bit. A lot of it was just things I like. That's largely what it comes down to. It's like, it was a marathon of speed paints. So, it was basically just drawing what I like. Not much more to it. Some of them were kind of weird, though. Like, admittedly, I don't know where the idea for the one for snacks, the snacks prompt came from. I think I saw the prompt list open, so I can find what day that was. Day 11. Where I just made a freaking mandala made out of snacks. I had a different idea in there, and it wasn't working out, so I just tried that, and it worked. So that one was a bit weird, but all the other ones were pretty straightforward for me. Alright, here we go. That highlight's looking much better now. Just had to get a few key places into slightly better spots. And now they're there. And now I can go back to fixing the tips here. Because it's like this part right here. When I tilt it upward, it doesn't move quite the way I want. It kind of starts bulging just right through here. Where I can see this highlight go in. Almost looks like it's getting pushed to the left. And so I gotta fix that up. Alright. Going in. This is the downside of a detailed mesh. It's a little bit of a pain to work with. But on the bright side, everything moves pretty well, so... I actually think right through here is like a perfect density in terms of vertices. Whereas some of these spots up here get a little bit too dense in some places. So I will definitely keep that in mind for the future. And for the next one of these that I make. Alright, so I am not entirely sure what the angle is. Okay, this seems to look pretty good for the top. So if I just continue that here, like, the angle here is pretty straight. So I think if I just make it pretty straight through there again, everything should look okay. Oh, but the mesh is a bit of a mess around here, isn't it? Oh, okay, here's hoping that I can do what I want. Yeah, that's, oh my. Oh my, indeed. Okay, looks like I was able to do what I wanted. There we go. That's a little bit better, but it's still looking a little bit curvy. Maybe it's actually the left turn that I don't like. Let me see. Yeah, I think I can afford to make it a little bit curvier down here. Because I don't know, I like the little curve that I have in the upward turn. So let's try it. Worst that happens is that I don't like the way it looks, so I go back a little bit. Let's go back through the history and fix all that up. Okay, yeah, that's better. Let me just stare at all the rest of the strands and make sure that they're looking good. But I think so. Alright. I remember seeing a couple of small problems on the side bang here yesterday, but I ran out of time before I could go fix them. Further proof that talking and trying to rig at the same time is actually pretty hard. I get very easily distracted when I need to talk at the same time. It's okay. It makes the process a little bit slower, but it does make it more fun too, so it's very much worth it. Oh man, my nose is a bit stuffy today. I feel like I'm getting perpetually more nasally as the stream goes on. So let's see here. Okay. Yeah, that's looking good. A little bit better. Okay, and I noticed a small problem where it felt like it was going a little bit high here, but I think it's actually just because the one on the top turn is a little bit low. These are the kind of decisions I need to make a little bit later on. Of just, when something isn't matching up in the corners right. Do I need to fix something in the corner, or do I need to fix something in one of the cardinal directions? And in this case, I think it was a slight problem in the cardinal direction. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good now. Which means I think it is time to turn some hair back on. This is where we say farewell to Bald Shalom. So we have that one and that one. Okay. I'll leave the strands off for now until I get these into place. Makes things a little bit easier to see. And also means that I have one less thing to worry about while I'm trying to push all this stuff into place. Okay. So now I have to think again. The thinking never stops. Maybe I don't want this area yet. There's a strand there, so let's hide it real quick once I find it. There it is. Alright, I want to get this into place here. Although, nah, we'll do that. I'm just gonna do the root. I'm just gonna do the roots for now. So I'm gonna stay super zoomed in like this. And we're just going to ignore everything from about the highlights down. Alright. I'll go down the strands a little bit later. Alright. So I think the next big decision I want to make is where do I want to put these highlights here? How do I want them to line up? I'm trying to remember everything that I did for the other turns here. So this one, I tried to make it, the halo change direction a little bit. I made it a little bit flatter. So you can see here that it's very round through here. And here I changed it so that this way it was a little bit flatter through here, and then more noticeable on this side. And up here I changed it so this way it was a little bit closer to a flat line. So I want to do something like that here, where here it's very, very flat altogether, and then curves a little bit more strongly here, but not too strongly. So for that, I think I want to try to lower this highlight a little bit, if I am able to. So this is how I'm thinking about things right now, just what little things can I do to make it look like her head is turning, as opposed to just stuff moving around. And little details like that can't help. So let's see here. See if that messed anything up, but no, it looks like we're okay. I don't know, it is a little bit strong going from here to here though. So I don't think I can get away with it making it that low. It looks a bit strange. We'll put a little bit of the highlight back in there and see if that helps it out a little bit. A little bit, but doesn't quite change the fact that the center is also a little bit too low. Not too bad. I wanted to make it a little bit more, I don't know, straight. Mess around with those highlights a little bit. But it's one of those things that's easier said than done. What the heck happened here? What strand is that? Hair mane. Okay, I need to fix this before I do anything else. Okay, we're gonna tuck this back behind her bang. Get it off her face there. Back hair does not belong on the face. It's a bad place for it. Okay. So, something like this. Yeah, and I don't mind the highlight moving down a little bit. I think that looks fine. Yeah, that looks pretty convincing with the way it's moving. Okay. And the amount of stuff in my nose is starting to bother me, so I will be right back. I'm gonna go blow my nose real quick. Alright, I'm back. Mike did not unmute there for a second. Okay. So we're looking at highlights. So far, so good. And, do I feel better with all that cleared out? Actually, I feel like I can talk again, and breathe. Maybe not talk and breathe at the same time, but I can do both separately. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get this last little highlight right there into a good spot. I want it to just be ever so slightly lower. For the most part, I think it's pretty good, but just needs a very slight adjustment. Okay, there we go. There we go. My husband and I were playing more Factorio this morning, and it was quite fun. We went to space. Or, more accurately, we launched stuff into space. We have our first space platform built, and that was very much an adventure, just figuring out how to actually build stuff on it, and having to worry about the space constraints and that. It's a pretty neat little mechanic. For those that don't play this game, it's about putting together a big factory that makes stuff. And one of the things that you can do is basically put a piece of your factory out in space to collect asteroids and make some stuff in zero gravity where that makes a difference with certain stuff. And we were putting together some stuff to do research. White science for those that do play. And we got all that working, and working with the space constraints of having to basically buy your floor. Because in order to build anything on a space platform, you need to, well, build a floor for it to sit on. And there's no floor in space like there is on a planet. So in order to do that, you have to make an item that basically acts as floor out on your space platform. And it's quite expensive. So you want to really be careful with how much space you're using. And try to keep the little factory in space as compact as possible. And that was an interesting design challenge. Especially considering that my husband and I just tend to make terrible spaghetti factories most of the time. We are not very aesthetic in our designs. So that was a lot of fun. We're hoping to visit some of the other planets soon. Looking forward to that. And I will say that for anybody that likes building games, I like, Factorio isn't exactly a city builder, but I think it's kind of genre adjacent. And I think anybody that likes games like that would enjoy Factorio. It's really well put together. Very fun game. Highly recommended. If the thought of building a sweet factory appeals to you at all, I'd say Factorio is a game you should play. Alright, so one thing that I do like that I have going here is if you look at this shadowed area, and more specifically the little bit coming out here, on how over here the lighter area is a lot thicker. And as I go over, it becomes thinner and thinner, and this dark area gets closer to the line. I think that looks really good. So I want to keep that there, and maybe even push it a little bit more if I'm able to. This mesh is a bit weird, so I don't know if I'll be able to, but at the very least what I have, I think looks great. And those are the kind of just little effects that you can do to make the turn a little bit more convincing. More like the head is turning as opposed to just everything being rotated. That was one thing that I had a lot of trouble with when I was starting out with rigging, in that even if I could get the turn to look okay, it still kind of just looked flat. Like I was rotating a face on a piece of paper. It was just paper thin. It didn't look voluminous at all. And I didn't really like that, so I spent some time to figure out how to make it a little bit better. And it's little things like that that I think make up the bulk of the difference. It's really amazing how such little differences can make, well, all the difference in the world. It's so small and the kind of thing that on its own probably will not even be noticed. But when combined with everything else, it just makes such a big difference. Definitely want to keep your eye out for little things you can do like that. It'll help. Okay. So now I'm trying to figure out how this strand connects to the underneath area here, and how I want this underneath area to look, and all that good stuff. I'm glad that I was able to go into the rest of the hair today. Hopefully I can get that all down and it'll just all look very nice. And then I can start perfecting everything, going down all the strands and all that good stuff. Right now I'm taking a look at the little piece under here. It's like you can interpret this part of the hair right here as the backside to this strand. So like it connects to the roots right here, goes up, and then folds over. So this part just folds on top of it and then goes down. So I'm just making sure that it still kind of has that effect. And I'm kind of wondering if I actually have this part here just turning the wrong direction. But I think it looks good there. Let me take a look. I actually want to try something. Let's do some science. See what happens here. What happens if I turn this the other direction and make the hair look a little bit more concave? It's okay, if I don't like it, I'll just undo it all and I'll try again. I don't know how to feel about it yet. It's like, that is one thing that I do struggle with pretty much any art that I do. It's just, do I like this idea? Does it look good? Should I... Is the fact that it looks wrong right now because I haven't invested enough effort into making it look good? Or do I just need to scrap the idea and try something else? And right now I'm not sure, so I'm gonna try a little bit more here. Just gonna try to clean this up a little bit more and see if that makes it more clear as to whether or not I should continue this line of thought. It does look a little bit more stretched when I do it like this. No, I think it's better the other way. Okay. That's alright, I tried it. And now I know that I'm satisfied with the current directional change that I have. And so I just need to adapt it a little bit better to this particular direction. And I think once I have that underneath area looking the way I want it, it'll make the figuring out the strand that sits on top a little bit easier too. So that's why I wanted to take some time to check it out and see what I could figure out. So now I'll just pull that into place a little bit there, and I think that'll be good. Looks very round. Yep, about as round as this one. Okay. So now I just want to get the outer shape of this right. Right now it got a little bit crunched with the interpolation. Because the way the corners work is that they take information from the two sides next to it and then combine it together to give an idea of what should be happening there. And sometimes it's right, and sometimes it just does not get it quite right. And so when it comes to correcting the corners, it's just taking the computer's assumptions and tailoring them to look a little bit better. So right here got a little bit crunched up. And I think that's true for this layer up here. I think I'm going to need to fix that before I can really get the other ones very well. Just because it is a bit of a mess. So let's just fix up this area a little bit here. Get everything looking the way I want it to. And we'll carry on from there. Man, this poor little layer. It really got crunched bad in the interpolation. Well, it's okay. I'm untangling all the parts, and hopefully it should feel a little bit better now. Oh man, just thinking about all that crunching seems like it would hurt. Hopefully the little dots here are all okay. Seems like they must have been having a rough time up until now. But it looks like everything is roughly untangled, and hopefully they're a bit more comfortable now. There we go. Not looking nearly as crunchy there. Okay, looks like I pushed it a little bit too far down, though. I misremembered where the pink parts were going. I also forget just how floofy her hair is, man. That little bit of hair is just so tall. Her hair is like the same height as her face. Okay. Let's get a little bit more of that pink in there. Let's have it line up correctly with the top view here. And then I'll worry about the rest. Fortunately, all that is just controlled by a couple little vertices, so it's pretty easy to move around. At the same time, it makes it a little bit hard to control, so that's the downside to using so few vertices for that. But looks like things worked out here. It's not perfect, but it's good enough that I can go back to working on the strand that I was before. It is no longer bothering me. So let's see, I think I'm determined to just finish the last of these little strands here. Might even get the loose strands in. We'll see how I feel. But right now, I feel like a lot of the things that I was doing were fairly simple. Or maybe I'm just getting better at rigging. Either or. I'm actually going to hide that back layer for a second there, so I can see what I'm doing up here at the root just a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. The little gap that's right here was confusing me, but that's just how it looks. So I guess that area just gets covered up by another layer, so I never noticed it was quite like that. Okay. So right here is where I think things need to line up a little bit better. Gets a little pointy at the top there. But otherwise, seemed about right. Gonna do a little bit of intense staring while I figure out whether or not I like everything that's there right now. So let me just take a look real quick, and I'll see how I feel about it all. Alright. So, part of this highlight, the part right there, was going a little bit too far down. And that was the sliding I was seeing. It just means I need to push this vertex up just a little bit. It was mostly in the right spot. So it's pretty much fine. Yeah, that's so much better. Alright, and now there's an area over here that should be a little bit pointier. There should be like a sudden angle change right through there. Let me actually ask the mesh where that changes and what's making it not show up here. Okay, so just this vertex. I'll just send him up a little bit. Make a little bit more of a point just right there. And that should line everything up. Yeah, and then perhaps I'll make just right through here just a little bit less round. Have that angle right here just a little bit sharper. I think that'll look quite good here. Might need to adjust the highlights over here a little bit again, but that's fine. I can do that. There we go. Oh yeah, that's definitely better. Okay, I think I have everything in place there, so I'm gonna go turn on this layer again, and I'll go and put him into place. Okay. So this was just something I noticed while I was moving the head around during my intense staring, of that this hair is supposed to connect to this red part right here. So I want to put that back into place. I pushed it a little bit too far away. And I'll just fix up all the other stuff as I go along. There we go. I think that's getting into place there. And everything here is looking super wrinkly. Like, man, those are some wrinkles. Yeah, it's getting, like, really compressed right through here. I'm not sure if there's much I can do about it. But I'll try to make this area look a little bit nicer. Because, oh boy, that's some crunchiness. That's pretty special. Okay, I think it's doing a little bit better, and just to make sure, that is on the layer, I think it is. Yes. I just wanted to make sure that this little shadow area that I was looking at was indeed on this layer and not the one right next to it. That happens sometimes, and I end up going on a wild goose chase trying to fix it, but it'll just never get fixed, because I am not trying to fix the right area. Always very unfortunate when that happens. And today is Monday, so that means that I will be able to draw a little bit more than usual today. Because Grandma is gonna come pick up my son, and they're gonna go have fun. I'll be able to go for a walk too. I've been a little bit sad that the last time I tried to go for a walk during nap time, my daughter just ended up going into my son's room and waking him up so they could play together, and then he didn't get any sleep and he was cranky later. So That was pretty sad. So I can't really do that. So I have to wait for days where the grandparents are out playing with them in order to go take a walk like that. But today is one of those days, so I plan to do lots of drawing, and once my brain hurts, gotta go take a walk and then probably draw some more. Either that or sleep, depending on the time. One or the other. Hello, Luminance. How are you doing today? I'm just putting some finishing touches on some hair here. Getting the parts in the back to line up. And as you can see, the bald spots are gone. Oh yes, I suppose that's worth mentioning. Unfortunately, I live in a place that honors daylight savings time. So, we set the clocks back an hour today. So that means that streams will be an hour earlier than you're used to. Oh, thank you. But yes, the funny bald spots are gone now. I still don't have her back hair turned on, but that's less amusing. I actually forgot daylight savings time was today and woke up an hour early too. My son was very confused when he saw me, because he's normally asleep when I get up. Yeah, same. I'm looking forward to finishing it all. I am looking forward to loading it into the tracking program and moving it around with my head. That'll be fun to test out. But this is the last of the big hair. Before I can just go in and start getting all the little spots back in and all that stuff. And then I'll have 1 out of 4 corners done. 1 of 4. Oh my. It's okay. I really do think that the hair is going to take longer than everything else combined. So once I finish all the head turns, then everything should hopefully come a little bit faster. It's like there's a lot more layers to the body, but I don't plan to move it as much, so that'll be okay. Man, my hand keeps picking the wrong one here. There we go. But yes, I will make a note of daylight savings and announce that a little bit more properly. I completely forgot about it. Honestly, don't know why we keep doing these things. It's terrible. I hate it. Just throws off everything. Okay. It's getting there, I think. I think things are lining up with the left going up pretty well. But the top going left is still a little bit, I don't know, flat on the side. I'd say alas, but nah, it's good to be busy. What have you been up to? Ah, I see. Yes. Those can definitely keep you busy. Well, I hope it's the kind of project that's not too terrible to work on. You never know with school. Me and school just never quite got along. Oh, okay. I suppose that makes it not quite as bad then. Alright, so I think the next big thing that I want to do is because the head is turning this direction, I want to make this red area a little bit more prominent. So you can see that there's this pink area and then there's this red area on top of it. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Oh, that's actually on the other layer. That explains why I couldn't get it to move. Let's go to the other layer then. Oh yeah, I wanted to show just a little bit more of this red area here. So that this way it looks like the head is turning. Because we see a little bit more of the side of the strand instead of the front. And that lines up well with a left turn of the head. Just any little detail I can think of to make it more like her head is turning a direction. I'll do my best to put it in there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Still don't have the top quite right, but at least that side is looking pretty good. Okay. Still need to pull out, like, this corner right here a little bit more. It's amazing how picky these little details can be. But there we go. That's better. In high school, no, not really. I think some people tried, but I just did not care. And I am also a woman, which means that high school bullying looked different for me than it would for young boys. dealt with some pretty nasty stuff in the workplace, but I don't work there anymore, so it's okay. And it's not a fun time. Are you dealing with some hard stuff in that regard right now? Yep, I've been pretty alright. Alright. Think I have that top part looking good now. Alright, I suppose it's time to start going down some strands. Let's do the other side bang. I've been kind of dreading doing the other side bang, but here we are. It is time. I'll keep this one, but I want to get rid of the loop. Yeah. Okay, so I need to send, like, this entire side bang a little bit higher. Oof. Yeah, that's always really rough. I'm glad that it doesn't seem to be continuing now. And it's always a shame that people do that to other people. People can be surprisingly mean. Oh, I see. It ended up like that. Yeah, I have seen that that kind of dynamic is more common with boys than it is girls. But girls can be special. They can be a special kind of mean. Just like when I described what female bullies do as being different from what male bullies do. That's the kind of thing that I was talking about, where... Let me see, how would I describe some of the stuff that female bullies do? I would say that it has more to do with baiting, where they try to get a reaction out of you that makes you look bad, or makes you overreact to, like, a specific thing. Yeah, high school girls are very different. Oh no, I'm glad that you guys were able to become friends. It's like... Oh man, but the kind of baiting and stuff can get very, very sour. That's why I said I didn't really have to deal with a lot of this in high school because I just did not care. It's like if you don't care, it's easier to deal with people like that because... A lot of the times they're fishing for reactions, and if you don't give them a reaction, they just get bored and stop. Whereas with boys, things can get much more physical. But, yeah. It's like you'll probably have to deal with a, lady trying to be mean to you at some point in your life, so it's good to be aware of the kinds of things they try. Of just... picking at you emotionally, trying to get particular reactions out of you, and that kind of thing is a little bit more difficult to explain. But it typically has to do with setting up situations in which they come out on top, in terms of like social perception, social hierarchy, and stuff like that. And again, that's why I didn't really have to deal with it, because I didn't care about that. It's like they could bait me and I'd just be like, okay. Have a nice day. Or worse, I was... In high school, I was so oblivious that most of the time I just didn't even notice. I lived in a different world. The world in my head is just so much more interesting than the world of high school. Alright, so I'm trying something a little bit different this time. Or most of the time I would have the strand that I'm currently poking with hidden while I got the rest. And here I'm trying to see if I can just rig them both together this time. Just do it without hiding it, since they're roughly in the right position already. Like, what context do you mean here? For one that's not interested in himself, or has a lack of confidence, or... Let me see. Still not quite sure what you're trying to ask me here. It's okay, words are hard. Okay. I'll just keep poking at this hair in the meantime. So far, so good. Just hoping that I can get it all to line up right. Think I have it pretty good on this downward turn here. Might still need to adjust down here just a little bit, but it's the upward... It's going left from the upward turn that I'm a little bit worried about here. Okay, but I think I know what to do. I think I just need to take this whole thing and push it a little bit to the left. Whoa. And got a little bit too excited there. Okay. Against his nature. In the sense that you're kind of feeling like you're... Yeah, so in the sense that he's trying to act a particular way to fit in, or that kind of thing. Because, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with men being more feminine. Men could be whoever they want. Perceived gender roles were basically just a result of early society trying to optimize for raising children. And having gender roles in that regard was useful. It's just, we don't really have to do that anymore. So, that's why in a lot of the world they're kind of falling to the wayside somewhat. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's good for people to be able to be whoever they want to be and express themselves in whatever way they want to. So it doesn't really matter if a guy is more feminine or a girl is more masculine. It's fine. It's just the reason that I described it as female bullying as opposed to male bullying, as these are different things, is that it's more common with women. It doesn't mean that men cannot also be like that, it's just more common. It's like, yeah, they should be able to do what they want. As much as they can. In general, I think that, we should avoid judging people too harshly in general. Especially for things that are super innocuous. And for, like, simple things like how you have wear your hair, what kind of clothes that you wear, whether or not you're a little bit more, I don't know, aggressive versus docile or whatever else. Like, it's fine. Those things are pretty harmless. The important part is just, you know, kindness and compassion and whatnot. This is incidentally why I am also personally against school uniforms for people going to school. Especially young people, because it's like, I can follow the logic that it might make the environment more conducive to book learning, but I think it's also important for young people to learn about themselves and learn how to maneuver their way through the world socially. And trying to eliminate that part of growing up in school and learning, I think is bad. Because it's like expressing yourself via clothing is just like so completely harmless. Completely harmless. It leaves nothing permanent on the person. Like, if, you know, someone doesn't like the way they dress when they were 15, like, they're just not gonna dress that way anymore. It's not that big a deal. But it does let the teenager learn a little bit more about themselves and figure out, you know, ways to express themselves and that make them happy. So that's why I say any form of expression that is completely harmless should be encouraged, in my opinion. Do what you want. Do what makes you happy. Even if people are generally pretty similar, there are differences, and you gotta pick out those differences and find what works for you. To an extent, yes. If you're working in a chemistry lab, like, yes, you need to wear certain things for protective reasons. But... And yes, if you're at school, maybe there is a certain dress code or standard that you have to meet. Like, that makes sense. But, I've never been a fan of eliminating it completely. Even if you work in a chemistry lab, I've seen plenty of people in those environments that have, like, custom goggles and stuff that have, like, cute patterns and whatnot on them. So, there are ways. I remember when I was still taking chemistry in college that there was one person in my lab class that had like pink straps on the goggles that had little cat paws on them, and they were cute. Yeah. It'll be a little bit different for everyone. I do think that humans are perhaps a little bit too eager to judge other humans for things that don't really matter, though. Doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, but, you know. When it comes to innocuous things like clothes, it's like, why? It's an aesthetic, it's fine. Do I have an ancient story for this one? Let me see. For this particular anecdote, I don't have anything in particular. What was the ancient world of high school like for me? I don't know, I kind of slept through it, and I also didn't finish high school, so that didn't help. I went and got a GED and started college at 16 because I hated high school, so... There you go. I guess that's kind of my ancient story. Definitely left me in an interesting place come college, especially with math, because I didn't finish all my high school math because I didn't finish high school, and none of it was on the GED, so it was it definitely had a bit of a hard time in calculus, but I did okay. I think linear algebra was actually worse than calculus, because calculus makes sense. Linear algebra just has a bunch of calculations and stuff that I didn't know how to do because I didn't know how to factor polynomials. And that just left me in a bit of an awkward place in that class. Teacher in that class was simultaneously cool and terrible. Cool in the sense that he understood that a lot of the people were taking that class because they were going into computer-related fields. And so he related a lot of stuff to computer graphics and stuff. And because that's where a lot of linear algebra is used in computer graphics. And so he was pretty good at that, but pretty terrible in the sense that when I came to ask for help on all this math that I missed because I didn't finish high school. He just did not want to help me. So I was kind of on my own to figure it all out. And I will always be very pleased with my decision to not finish high school. It's not for everyone, and in the end it'll probably make your life a little bit harder in a lot of ways. But man, I was just so miserable in high school, it was worth it. Especially since I could just jump right in and get a college degree. And I will tell you, if you can go to college, at least where I live, if you can go to college right away, nobody's gonna care whether or not you have finished high school. No one's even gonna know. Like, they're gonna assume that if you got into college, it's because you have a high school diploma. Even if you don't. Nobody has asked me about where I went to high school, so... They just say, ah, bachelor's degree. There you go. Good job, you meet the requirement. And yes, it was a little bit sad. That's okay, I figured it out. I somehow managed to pass that class. It's okay, my early 20s were a bit of a mess. Nope, I just see that I have a bachelor's degree. And that's fine. That's all they care about. Nobody cares about any schooling before then. Seems like the stream is a bit laggy today. I haven't dropped frames. No, looks like everything's okay. Alright, and I'm doing a bunch of adjustments on this, on the hair of the left head turn here, because I noticed that this bang on the default view is very straight, whereas here I had it very curved. And so I'm kind of straightening it out again. Trying to make that look a little bit better. And so hopefully with that lined up better, it should line up with what I have up here a little bit better too. But I think I might need to leave that for tomorrow. I'm getting hungry. And I'll double check the time in UTC, but as a reminder, the stream will be starting an hour early from now on. Just because I'm still going to be streaming at the same time, my time, and daylight savings, just push that time an hour back because it feels like it, I guess. I don't understand why we still do that. I think this is where I will stop for today. So, thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or add me on the social media platform of your choice, and I will take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye. It's like, I don't know anything about your country, so I can't really speak into it. But if you look at the requirements for jobs, you might be surprised. What high school will do for you is let you get into college, I think. But if you can get into college without it, it may be less important. But like I said, I don't know anything about your country, so I can't speak into it. That's definitely something that you need to be real sure of before you jump into anything. But good luck, friend. Do your best.